welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everybody, and happy Labor Day. It is episode number 470 of the Trinity Force Podcast, joined by only two other guys today, as Lancifer, our producer, has joined us, and Moon is here, or Marine Revenge.
Don't be fooled into thinking just because there's less people that it's not going to be as good of a show.
Yeah, well, the live show isn't going to be as good because I just didn't put the scene together. I just kind of threw our faces up there and put a little episode number. I figured this week would be all right. It's Labor Day after all.
Yeah. Lazy day, so.
Lazy day. Man, I've been working my ass off today. I was putting the house together.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my car fixed. I've been doing a ton of shit.
I mean, I did work an 8-hour shift today, so.
Feeding all the drunk
all
people.
weekend.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, all the drunk people still want to drink on Labor Day. Big surprise.
And I am drinking now.
Exactly.
That's right. That's what else is Labor Day for other than to labor away and continue to do stuff because you have a day off of work? Well, for some of us. Probably one of us.
Double pay and overtime, though, so.
You can't beat that. So, guys, thank you so much for supporting us. As I say every single week, you heard the ad before the show, and now you can hear the ad now. BuddhaBoxers.com/Trinity Force. Go use code TForce for 15% off your entire order. Or 20% off. 20% off, not 15. 20% off your entire order. I think that lasts one more week, so you have until the end of the week to get that. Then after that, we'll be running a new Buddha Boxers ad as well. But thank you for supporting us. If you bought a gaming chair or if you bought some Buddha Boxers, whatever it is, thank you again for supporting us because we quite enjoy that. So we continue to bring you guys League of Legends episodes. Don't forget patreon.com/TForce Network. Thank you to all our patrons that went out on the first. You got deducted for bank account, replay reviews, whatever it may be. So tonight's episode is probably a shorter one, but we're going to try to do our best with the three people that we have, as we're just going to empty our mailbag this evening. And if you wrote in, we've got your question. If you wrote in and we haven't answered it by the end of this podcast, we will be sending you an email directly with some more information. I know that we had a Garen email that came in, and I need Todd to kind of give me some pointers with that one, so we can write a guy an email back and say, "Yo, this is that." Maybe one of those where I just go, "Hey, here's the Garen Champions Like podcast. Just listen to it because that give you everything you need to know."
Yeah.
Quite a bit of information in that one.
Oh, yeah. Those champ selects I can't recommend enough. So that might just be the best course of action there.
Right.
To be honest.
Well, let's just jump right into listener questions for the evening. People have heard enough of our spiels. I mean, they got to listen to like 3 minutes before we talk. So Josh writes into the show, over the course of the season, my core 3 mid laners have been Vel'Koz, Lux, and Veigar. I successfully climbed from Bronze 3 to Plat 5 with them, but I've kind of hit a roadblock. These champs were strong at lower MMR because if you got any kind of lead, you could just one-shot combo any of the other team's carries. As I get higher up, the immobility of the champs and the fact that they're almost 100% skill shot reliant makes them much more difficult to use as efficiently. Is this just a new roadblock I can pass, or should I consider mixing up my champ pool to try and play more versatile champions?
I would honestly jump in here and just say that if you're getting to a point where it sounds like this guy knows how to get ahead in lane, is what it sounds like. He's saying these characters are strong early if you get a lead. So I'm having the feeling like his lane mechanics are on point. He's saying he's having trouble though, maybe with his positioning in the mid game. He's saying citing the immobility of those characters as an issue. So it's probably a vision thing. Maybe paying attention to the mini map, or maybe even a little bit of game sense. It's definitely something you can overcome. I wouldn't drop the 3 characters you're most comfortable with. If you find a play style that you're good at, like, stick to it. But it sounds like maybe you need to buy more wards, or maybe be more active with clearing vision. And then maybe pay a little more attention to the minimap. And that's kind of how you overcome that immobility obstacle.
Even in Plat 5, I mean, I'm not trying to take away your your success. But Plat 5 is essentially Gold 1, right? And it isn't until about Plat 3 that players really start getting pretty good about dodging skill shots. And even then, it's a crapshoot of whether or not they get good or not. The last 4 solo queue games that I've played have all had just terrible position players that just get carried because one person snowballed the game. So if you're really good at doing that, or you find that's your strength, you should continue to play to that. Those skill shots shouldn't be hard to hit, especially champions like Vel'Koz that aren't seen very often. I'd say Lux is harder to roam with, to use in solo queue. She's like that catch-all. If you're really, really fucking good at her, you can make her work and you can roll through it. But I think you should go with like that surprise of Vel'Koz pick. I really like that right now. I know that Huhi out of CLG is playing Vel'Koz, but so he's just, you have so many unique angles in lane to be able to hit your Q skill shots and poke people out that it usually makes them frustrated. Not to mention you have really good wave clear that allows you to roam really heavily. So changing up your game patterns for anybody out there might have the same the similar situation where it was working, but now it's not. Now you just need to change your patterns, because if somebody was really good at dodging skill, or somebody wasn't good at dodging skill shots, maybe you just need to find better angles of attack, right? So we're walking left or right of the minions. We're using our vision, like Todd said, to be able to set up really good ganks with our jungler, opening communication, whatever else it may be. There's little adjustments you can make to your gameplay that will actually go a really long way in order for you to start climbing really hard. Leave that open. Anybody? No.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. Honestly, I think it really just comes down to you have to practice, and you've developed. You've really developed a certain part of your game, and this wall that you've hit. It's just you're now at this tier of play where you have to be a little bit more well-rounded in order to continue to climb. I mean, Bronze 3 to Plat 5 is fast. In one season, that's really climbing fast.
Right.
So stick with it.
Patience is something I don't think that we talk enough about on this show, and it's something like if you watch Marines stream, I'm not just talking about camping the brush and being patient, but just kind of being patient in lane and waiting for your opportunity and being okay with just farming it out, because a lot of times what I see happen when I play solo queue or like those Plat 3 diamond levels is that people tend to they tilt because they're not patient enough. They die once and then they don't want to play that next 5 to 8 minutes out where they have to play back, where they're not allowed to be aggressive. And if that happens to you, you just you have to take a step back and ask yourself, what am I doing in this situation, and do I need to get that kill? Is it good enough for me to keep the lane where it's at? Is it good enough for me to keep I love the guinea spam, but is it good enough for me to just stay here? Is it good enough for me to just farm this out and keep my laner where he's at, or should I be more proactive about moving around the map or doing something else? Like patience, they say it's a virtue, and they mean it in all aspects of life, including playing video games.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't feel like, especially Vega or Vel'Koz, I don't feel like either one of those scale too badly, especially with Vel'Koz's true damage, Vigo's stacking Q. Like, you can, I feel like, play those lanes if you have to be a little more patient. Play those lanes, scale up a bit, and then just get to where you can delete in team fights later on, instead of just, if you're playing that lane bully kind of style, just kind of change the style up like you were saying, Adam. So...
I like Vhagar. I like him a lot. He reminds me of Karthus in the fact that he scales up really hard and he can do a lot of cool shit even when he's kind of behind, right? Because he always has that on-demand stun. But I think too many people get into this rut of, I need to farm. It's kind of like the old Nasus. I need to farm Q. I need to farm Q. I need to keep that stacks going up higher. And when in reality, they changed him so that you're harassing with Q now rather than last hitting with Q, because you're getting stacks and hitting the enemy champion. So you become more of this aggressive style laner than previous. And you can use that to your advantage, because just the threat of E being available, or even any ability being available on a champion, is so overwhelming that you can win a lane through mind games alone.
I think that's a really interesting point you made. I kind of wonder what Nasus would be like if you could get 1 stack off of hitting a champion and maybe 3 off of a minion instead of, or maybe 2 off of a minion instead of always just 3 off of minions and none on heroes. It could really change the way he plays.
I would I wouldn't mind him. See, I wonder if half stack things could be ever put in the game where you can gain half stacks for hitting enemies, or like if you do a percentage of life, you get like however much damage you're doing to the enemy champion, you're getting more stacks based on that. Now, granted, that could make him really snowbally because he could be smacking an enemy champion and getting stacks, so it doesn't really balance all that well. But you kind of get the idea where I'm going here. I like that idea where it forces you to trade rather than sit and wait. But even then, Nasus with, I don't know, 50 stacks out of lane can do a pretty damn good trade with a W. You drop a W on, you wait for the cooldowns to be done when the person engages you, drop a W, and then you walk at them. And there's too many times that I see players play this game where they get afraid. Like someone dumps their load on top of them, and then they just run away because they're scared. Oh shit, I'm at half life. When in reality, you still have your entire kit to use. Like Vhagar, for example, somebody what am I going to say? Like Talia drops you into to her little rock prison and shit. All you have to do is just retaliate, and you could have a greater effect than if you just kind of ran scared.
And that's something that really people in higher elos tend to do better than lower elos anyway. Especially when we're talking about like trades in lane, like in a lane trade in lower elo, like whoever starts it gets like the damage off first. Sometimes the other people get scared and they back off without doing anything, like you said. But as you move up in rank, people learn to, even if it's a losing trade, people learn to trade back just a little bit, so that way they are less behind.
Some damage is always going to be better than no damage. So
yeah, sometimes you're just like in a losing situation that you could potentially just flip. I wish Dom was here because he could talk about this as well. He and I played a game the other night where I was Tristana and he was Tarek. We played into Thresh Jinx, and I ate a max range Thresh hook at level 2 that pulled me in on top, into a flay on top of the Jinx traps. And for most people, that would be done. But instead, I just stood my ground and fought. I dropped EQ and I just went to town on the Jinx. We ended up getting a kill out of it and walked away 2 for 1. But yeah, it's just sometimes you just kind of have to throw caution to the wind and let it rip. I hate to use these aren't even the idioms; they're just terrible sayings. But you just have to go all in and do your damage.
Yeah, like because if nothing else, like if they chunk you for like say 50% of your health, but you chunk them back for 25% of theirs, if you can keep them at that 25%, then you're suddenly opening up that window of opportunity for your jungler to come in, maybe.
It's really easy for people to forget about junglers, right? Like, you do these trades, and then... I mean, I guess some people, they're probably ping, help, but instead of help, they can be patient. See, this always wraps back around. Patient. Let your jungler work his magic. Just learn to dodge when you have a jungle Ezreal on your team, like I did earlier.
Yeah. I have all... God damn, that sounds awful. I have all too familiar lessons with patience right now. I played Mundo into Fiora last night.
Oh, that ain't so bad. You just stand back and get your last hits with Q and stand in a turret, wait for the jungler to come gank, and then you walk in and all in the Fiora, right?
Like I was saying, patience. Don't get overconfident. Don't try to trade with Fiora by yourself, and you'll be fine.
I actually think that's one of those where if Garen, for example, because we'll use that. I know you actually play a lot of Mundo. If Fiora is proccing her Q on you, aren't you dropping an E or a Q auto E reset back onto her, like the moment that she's trying to proc you, assuming you can do it
as
right?
Dr. Mundo?
Yeah.
I mean, if she's close enough, you would definitely do that. At the very least, you would try to bait her parry so that she couldn't go back in and be as safe if she tried to go back in next time her Q's up. Like, at the very least, you're trying to get her to blow her defensive cooldown. I mean, she's unfortunately very resilient to trade backs. Like, that poke that she does get that for free in a lot of matchups.
Yeah.
And you have to play around it.
When you're playing around, just for Fiora, for maybe those who don't play into her very often, but are you playing around the side of the lane that her vitals or your vitals are proccing on? Like, if it's on the bottom half of your character, are you trying to play more toward the bottom of the lane so she can't walk around and get that free vital?
I actually prefer to just break the distance to where it drops automatically. That's usually how I like to do it. Especially when it's in front, it's going to be guaranteed damage. So if you just walk, like, you just
for a melee character. So.
Yeah, just time it so that like a minion's not going to die right as you walk out of XP range.
You know,
Like,
that might have been what you were doing the other day. I was watching you play stream. It was probably about a week ago at this point. You kept running all the way back to your tower. Not, to the tower, but all the way back toward the tower in the
like
back.
pretty close.
And I kept wondering, I'm like, why the fuck is he running so far away? He's like, this is really bad. But you may have been playing into Fiora at that point, and now it makes sense why you were doing that.
Yeah, as Fiora, it's really frustrating to play against. Because then all that free damage that you could have gotten off, now you don't. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know, it sucks. Fiora needs all the help she can get.
Well, let's move on to the next question. It's another person who has been playing a champion, so we probably can just listen to the last conversation. Dr. Havoc, I'm a Xin jungle main, and I've gone from bronze 5 to silver 5. Another guy who's just steamrolling through ranked with a 64% win rate. I feel like I could climb faster if I would with a meta champ, but then I keep thinking I should stick with what got me here. Should I switch to a similar champ that's more meta for climbing higher, and why does Xin get overlooked in the jungle? So I think the real question here is, why does Xin get overlooked in the jungle?
Yeah, I think Zin's biggest problem is that he has no disengage if he picks a bad fight. And like there are other characters who are also guilty of that problem. Like I would say Garen is like another good example, but he's got these defensive tools to at least, assist with getting himself out. Really all Zin has is his R knockback, but it's honestly not helpful enough because whoever you were most recently fighting, it won't knock back. So it's not like even in a 1v2, it's still not enough to get you out alive. So let alone like a bigger situation. That's really his biggest problem. He's a great pick. He's a great all-in, but he relies on snowballing because he has to be ahead to ever be able to engage because he has no escape. So you just have to get ahead of Zen, and that's what the problem is. But should you switch? No. I think Zen is viable, at least until flat.
Yeah, I was going to say at least through silver, you're going to still be able to pub stomp people, so you'll be fine.
But we've always said that about Zen being that all-in champion that just blows his load and does what he needs to do, and he does really well for pick comps in that case, or if he's snowballing really hard. But I'm curious if you run into a wall with jungle Zen where you don't feel like you're climbing, it's not necessarily the champion, and again, it's probably more of how you're pathing through the jungle, the decision making that you're doing, and we're not going to harp on that too much because we kind of talked about that previously. But my point going forward here is I actually like Xin Zhao out of the top lane quite a bit. As long as it's even into some of those range matchups. He's got an auto attack reset. He's got a heal in his kit. He has pretty good. His Q has decent AD scaling on it, right?
Yeah, it's like 1.5 total, I think, maybe. So it's basically your base damage plus 0.5 total.
Yeah, it's not terrible. There's people out there. My wife
His R scaling is horrible, though. His R80 scaling is actually really bad. That's one thing that I do think he needs better AD. It does, but it's percent current, so it's pretty weak. And the base damage isn't high, and the AD scaling also on it is also low.
There is a change coming to Zen in 7.1.8, 9?
Yeah, 7.1.9.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it to % max life on his R instead of % current, because they just changed Ornn. They hotfixed Ornn, so his W is now doing % max rather than % current life. And that seems to be the way to fix a lot of these champions. Now, like I said, I like Zen a lot out of the top lane just because he does a deceptive amount of damage through all the utility that's brought into his kit. Just obviously the main problem being that he is one and done.
Just to throw it out there, I think Tiamat is really good on Zen. I really like Ravenous Hydra and Triforce combo on Zen. The Tiamat will actually, you can use it like how you break Renekton W, you can use it to break Zen Q. He has those kind of long windups, especially during the knockup animation. So, and it gives him wave clear that he sorely needs, especially out of the jungle. So try Ravenous Hydra as Zen if you feel like maybe you want to add something to it without giving up the character. It seems to work well for me, and I like Triforce too. To get the CDR, the move speed, the attack speed, and the Sheen procs are nasty.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea out right side of the jungle. Go start Machete, then go right into a Tiamat like you were Warwick. Finish off your Smite 'em, and then you can go into Ravenous Hydra and whatnot. I like that idea a lot. The last time I played top lane Zen was probably season 4, maybe 5, and I was building a lot of Yumu's Ghostblade, but you're sacrificing durability for move speed and damage, right? So I guess it's give or take. How well are you doing out of the top lane, and how often are you killing the enemy champion? There's probably too feast or famine to go Ghostblade at this point, especially the way lethality is sitting right now.
Without the attack speed, I mean, I think Ghostblade is solid, but for Xin personally, I feel like it's just not enough. Doesn't give him enough.
Is Dustblade not good enough for him either?
Honestly, I've never tried it, so I'd just be guessing, but it'd probably be better than Ghostblade if you were gonna go one of the lethality items, because it would give him that like anti-vision to, like, remember again, his problem is that if he gets into a bad spot, he's basically dead. So having that vision counter is always going to be very important for him for his positioning.
I'm gonna throw a whole podcast around patience, because Zen is another patient champion where you have to go in at the exact right moment because of the way he can't get out, right? Like, he can R and then try to walk away unless he has flash available. But it doesn't happen. So E having a slow, the knock up on, what is it? Is it Q that has the knock up?
Yeah, and then the R is a knockback. Actually, they did make his escape slightly better. If you don't go the max distance anymore, they had this like a mini stun, so that way you're always 0.75 seconds interrupted with his ult. And it did make his escape like a tiny bit better, but his problem is he's just not fast. So even if you knock people back, they catch up to you. You're still in range of a CC or, you know, whatever it is. If he got move speed when he R'd, I mean, then that's all it would take. Maybe they'll do something like that in his update.
Move speed after he presses R seems seems a little too powerful, right? Like, he's isolating somebody, has a move speed to keep on top of him. That's what we have Phage for at this point.
True, but unfortunately, especially out of the jungle, a lot of Zen players don't get to build it if they get behind. They go like the smite item, and then they have to build tank if they get behind. And if you're ahead, there's better stuff to build usually than cleaver. Usually you're better off with, you know, like attack speed items or heavy AD items like Ravenous. I mean, Triforce, there's Phage in that, but that's really the only Phage item that's good with a lead.
Yeah, because he doesn't need Black Cleaver at all. And, yeah, you're right. I'm just kind of thinking around him. I think his problem just comes down to the fact that he's in and he's in, right? Like, that's the overall always going to be the overarching issue with Zen is once he's in, he's in. And if you've built tank, you're doing nothing.
Pretty much. Like, you get the knock up and then you just do no damage, and your healing is lower too because your healing scales based on the damage you build, AP and AD. Your R and your ratios aren't great, so when you have nothing, like, you have no damage.
So in other words, everybody should just play Warwick instead of Xin Zhao, because Warwick just does everything that Xin does better.
Pretty much. It's sad, too.
I was going to say, I can see that sadness in your face, dude. You look so upset about that comment.
Dude, like, Zin's such a cool character, but, like, they're afraid of him being good just because he was, like, way too good when he first came out. Like, they just never want Zin to be strong again because people have nightmares.
Yo, Zin was played in, like, the Season 3 meta for a bit.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like top lane a lot and jungle a couple times. But he was like pure tank. Like, it was still like boring as fuck to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't Xin Zhao. It was his character, but it wasn't him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The beast wasn't unleashed.
It was a shell of the character. All right, let's move to Key MC's question. What do you think about playing with people that are one-trick ponies? Oh shit, man! This is like this episode is like slapping everyone in the face. I usually play ranked, and I feel like if they are higher level than me, I'm bringing them down, and I feel bad if they lose with me. But I don't feel bad against people playing with me that are lower level than me if we lose. I know you guys always talk about the different mindsets in each MMR, but I find it hard to ask people in Discord or my friends list to play if they're higher ranked than me. What do you guys think about this?
What I would say is you shouldn't really be asking anybody who's not better than you to play ranked with you. You should always looking to play with people who are better than you, because that's how you'll get better faster. But when it comes down to like offending people, like, it doesn't matter what their character is or what rank they are. It's about who they are as a person. Like, if they're a douchebag, they're a douchebag, and you know, if they get bent out of shape over one fucking loss every time you guys lose, like, you don't want to play with somebody like that anyway. They're just gonna drag you down.
Dude, ask Todd how many times that I've drug him down to my level when I've had
I don't-
really bad games.
I don't get drugged down, dude. I pick up a shovel too. Like it's no big deal.
Oh yeah, no, I think we've all had to strap each other on our backs at one point or another. I've listened. I wish I stream more because you talk about people that are getting butt hurt. And once you learn, you get to know somebody by playing with them a lot. You understand what their levels of butthurt are and how they sound. And Todd, when he's butthurt over something, is hilarious. I just want to let you guys know that because he doesn't legitimately get so mad that he's cursing and swearing, right? Because the dude doesn't really do that. But he just he's like, oh man, shit, I should have been doing this, or oh, if I just had this available, I would have taken care of it. Oh, that's such a bullshit ability that's happening. Like that type of things come out of his mouth, and it's so fun to listen to. Because he's trying to be so reserved in his anger that he's not getting so mad at the team for me playing poorly, and that's the kind of people you need, right? That they lift you up by putting you down.
The one that immediately comes to mind is Anivia Egg. There was a game where I watched you all in Anivia about 3 times in a row, and every time she had egg up, and you just walked away angrily every single time.
See, I told you, Todd doesn't have anything to say about it. He's too humble to laugh about it, to his own personality.
No.
I don't know. What do you even say to that? Like, yeah, dude, I don't get mad.
That's all you gotta say. Just laugh about it. Just laugh at yourself. That's what we're here for. If one of us doesn't get called out on the show, it's not a very good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Todd really hit the nail on the head here. Key is that you should always be striving to play with people that are better than you, no matter how much better they are. I play with Bao Bao a lot, even on his main account, because he's a Masters level player. So I'm playing Diamond 3 and Diamond 1 players. Even Todd, if I played with Todd the other night, we played with what's great, Dom, right, is I think he's Gold 2, Gold 1 this season so far. And right. He's quickly on his way to Plat. He's finally playing ranked. And it's funny to play into a game because Todd's elo just brings us up a little bit, and playing with that, and these people, I'm sure they OPGG afterwards and go, holy shit, this support was only gold or whatever. But Dom is playing at that mid plat to diamond level in most of his games just because he's playing with Todd and all of us that are higher. So his ability to play
everybody's
this game
practice is getting better.
Yeah. So what if he's actually gold? So what if his things are gold? Dom is actually playing at this higher level, regardless of what your perception may be by looking at his OPGG, because he has to play with those type of players all the time because it's the only players he's playing with.
Yeah, gold 2, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dom is solid. Dom's another one of those people too who if he makes a mistake, he'll admit it, and if we lose a game over something, it's not a big deal. We just learn from it, move on. He's extremely mild-mannered.
Yeah.
Man. He doesn't sugarcoat it either, dude. I tried to be nice, one of those things where you're I'll be like, damn, if only I had this ability and I did that. And he was like, nah, dude, I just fucked up. Just say it. I just fucked up. He just threw it out there. I was like, dude, it's not even like that. It's not what I'm trying to say.
No, you just throw it out. No, you know what that comes from? And this is, I think, a lot of people that are playing this game. I think a lot of us play with our friends and whatnot. And we'll get on each other from time to time. But if you can admit your mistakes and say you fucked up, and you're not afraid to calling out your friend to be to having fucked up, and everybody's okay with it at the end of the day, you're going to have a better play session. And even admitting your own mistakes as you play through the game is going to make you a better player, because there's what happens is if you guys can all admit your mistakes and you can bounce it off each other, you have a healthier play environment, because you don't want to have those arguments in the middle of the game where, oh, fuck, if we would have done this and this happened and this, and meanwhile you're losing top turret bottom and this and that. You just admit, hey, I fucked up, sorry, and then you move on and keep playing the game.
Yeah. If you can make a joke out of your own mistake and learn from it, you're going to improve way faster than just deflecting it onto other people. So...
Dom said it a while ago. I feel like I'm picking on him tonight, but he said it a while ago that his one of the things that he's asked people is, "What did you expect to get out of that?" Or in what world did you expect to win that fight? And that's his way of telling you that you fucked up. Don't ask me, Dom. I just expected to win. Sometimes miracles happen.
1% crit wound.
I don't run it.
Neither do I.
And I'll never be able to run it again. Rip runes. All right, let's move on to K. Is it KM Kimnop's question. I've run into several games lately where the enemy blows out an inhib on one lane and manages to get both Nexus towers but can't kill the Nexus before we respawn, and we stop them. I've not run into this scenario much in the past, but it keeps happening, and I have no idea how to play into it. In all these games, my team did not have any of the opponent's inhibs down. Should my team stay together as 5? Should we leave 1 or 2 to defend and the rest put pressure elsewhere in the district? I know every game is different, but is there anything general that can be applied here? So you guys understand that question? Because it was kind of...
Yeah, I'm kind of rereading it a little bit here. Hold on.
So what he's saying is when the enemy team has blown out basically a couple inhibs and some other, and maybe
and they
1
get
or
both
2
of their
towers,
Nexus turrets. And
but they spawn
can't
and
kill
stop
the
them.
Nexus. Okay, I get it. So he's like, what do you do when that happens? I mean, really, you just have to treat. I mean, you still have inhibs on both. Like, let's say the mid lane is what, because that's the one that I see the most when it happens like that. Honestly, it's usually like they get mid inhib and they get both Nexus turrets, and you have two side lanes still. Honestly, you just play it out normally. I mean, you just have to keep pressure mid. The only thing that can maybe happen is like a teleport cheese to like a ward. So, you kind of want to keep an eye on anybody on the enemy team if they have like a teleport. But really, it's the same thing as if you just had an inhib down mid lane. You're just got to keep the mid lane shoved. And while you try to stall for the inhib to come up, you're protecting your other side lanes at the same time. And then basically stalling out. Baron will probably be up maybe, or maybe Elder. You got to try to contest or get vision of the neutral objectives. But really, you're just stalling.
Yeah, you have to play back in these scenarios where if you've lost 2 inhibs and both your Nexus turrets, so the enemy team is obviously going to go for that final tower, right? You have to be cognizant of one person trying to backdoor, because it always seems to be that one person that wants to jump over and try to end the game. And 2, you have to be able to defend that third. But now, the scenario that I see happen more often than 2 inhibs and 2 Nexus towers down is actually all my inhibs are down, or all my inhibs, all the towers are down in my base, essentially, including Nexus towers, and maybe inhibs have respawned, or one's down. You kind of get the idea, right? Like, there's nothing left to fucking defend in that base other than the inhibitors. And you have to keep one person back that can solo somebody and clear out the wave, and you have to always be available to make it back there faster than the enemy team does. Basically, you have to stall it out and hope the enemy team makes a mistake at any of those points. In any of these scenarios, you have to stand there, stall it out, keep your lanes pushed, and just hope the enemy team decides to run in for a 3v5, or hope the enemy team tries to send somebody in to end where you can make it now a 4v5 and go take Baron. You just have to keep stalling it out to the point that you guys are going to be able to win a team fight and turn that game on its head. Now, it's really hard to do, but patience. It's just a lot of patience and a lot of fucking stress. You're going to walk away from that game shaking a little bit when it's done.
Yeah.
So...
Yep.
There you go. Good luck, Nop. I'm gonna start calling this guy Nop, not Cam Nop.
Yeah, I think you got it right the second time.
Knop.
Yeah.
All right. So I have one last question for tonight. Like I said, probably a quick episode as we just kind of like destroy the listener questions here. Is that what did I have here? Sorry, I had it written out, but I didn't. This goes back to the same thing. We have a lot of people writing it, right? We have a lot of people that writing in that are like, I've been playing this happens. Should I continue playing that champion? And I think we answered that earlier. This one comes from Ivernit, where he was doing really well and then kind of crapped out at the end there. Oops. Sorry, I'm pulling up an OPGG as we talk. Great radio.
Yeah. Audio podcast here. So,
well, what's better than listening to my keyboard type as I try to pull up an OPGG that nobody else can see? It ain't pulling up for me. I don't care. I think that pretty much covers it for that episode, right? Like we went over everything. You just got to be. I'm gonna take what I'm gonna use is this Labor Day episode where it's just kind of quick, get you back in the ear. Is that I'm gonna take this and turn this into an episode later where we talk about patience, because I just think there's so much to talk about when it comes to League of Legends and using patience to properly drive the game that too many players don't have that, and it really transfers into real life. just kind of talking out loud here, something that I've actually learned by playing League and talking to a lot of you guys is how to, admitting my mistakes, right? We talked about that earlier, is that if I admit my mistakes in the game, I'm going to transfer that to real life. And I've actually started admitting my mistakes a lot in real life. And I think it has really turned life on its head, where people kind of get thrown off guard that you're like, yeah, I fucked up. You're right. That was my fault. Like, it's just,
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like it's quick to push blame off to other people. Like we're just trained to not want to be the reason responsible for, like, when things go wrong. Yeah. Unfortunately, and it's just what happens.
Well, that's my wife. I always tell her, yeah, I fucked up, and it kind of like the conversation kind of like hits a stall right there. Like, what do I say now?
Yeah. What do you say in the face of humility? Like sometimes, people want to be so mad, but then like they can't be anymore. Then it's like, all right, I guess we'll just resolve the problem. Yeah, I didn't know I actually wanted to come to a solution.
Right.
I wasn't expecting this to end with a conversation like rational adults. Like,
well, it's really hard to do because, like, like I said, you're so trained to pass it off, and same thing with League of Legends. I know I type a lot. Keep your head in the game. Don't tilt. Don't type. Typing's worthless. We talked about this a lot. But like, just muting everybody and playing your own game is helpful. I just wish more people were patient or had a better understanding in this game of where they needed to be and why they needed to be there. In the one ranked game I played today that made me not want to play ranked anymore, I had a jungle Ezreal, and that wouldn't have been so bad. Like, our team comp, all things considered, was top Veigar, Cassiopeia, jungle Ezreal, and I think I was like 4-0 Tristana at one point. It would have been great, but the fact that people would rather just kind of go do their own thing and not admit that they fucked up when they should be rotating around the map is what really tilts me about this game. And I have to imagine it's a cultural or age type of thing, because a lot of players playing this game are 18 to 25 or 18 to 26.
Even younger than that, I would say.
Do you think like 15 to 26 or something?
I'd say even, probably anywhere from 13 to 25 would probably be the core demographic.
Okay. Yeah. So. Unfortunately, you can't teach a 13 to 25-year-old anything, right? Like, it's I don't think I actually... I hate to say it. Like, I don't know how to say it, but I think it was like, I wasn't until I was like 28 or 29 that I became, air quotes, a man, right? Like, where I learned that I need to admit my mistakes, and I need to be a better person, that I don't need to be this asshole. And unfortunately, that game is filled full of this type of people.
Luckily, I'm 25, so I'm only a little bit offended.
Same. Same though. So,
no, listen, guys, I was it was probably about 28. It was probably about 27 or 28 that I finally pulled my head out of my ass. And if you ask my wife, it's because I met her, but we're not asking her.
Sometimes it's what happens.
All right, I'm going to leave it there before this podcast gets too far. Guys, thanks for sticking to us with the Labor Day. I know it was a quick episode, but we wanted to get some stuff in your ears and try to help you. Hope you guys had a successful Labor Day. Don't forget that the end of the season is really, 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 really close. You've got like 2.5 months, if that, before the end of the season. So if you were pushing for that rank, push hard now. So. And don't forget to go check out Moon, right? By the way, Marine Revenge on Twitch. He streams, well, I don't know with your new job, but you were streaming just about every day before.
Yeah, my job, they had me work like 4 days in a row, but I think it's going to be pretty open now. So twitch.tv/Marine Revenge. And if you can't watch the live videos, you can check me out on YouTube at youtube.com/Marine Revenge. I try to put the best games on there.
Of course, you never put your losing games, because why should we watch those?
I mean, there's a couple losing games, but only the ones where I get like 20 kills and then still lose, so I can still feel good about myself.
That's all that matters.
It wasn't my fault.
But yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks again for supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening today. We'll be back full-fledged on Wednesday, actually with a patch episode, and we should have the entire crew with that. So have a good day, have a good evening, have a good night. Enjoy your ride into work or from home from work, and thank you for supporting us, guys. We will see you all on Wednesday. Have a good evening. Peace.
Later, dogs.
Later.